You're watching KPTS, Channel 8.
Production and broadcast costs for Sedgwick County Commission meetings have been underwritten by Sedgwick County. KPTS welcomes comments from the public on its broadcast of the County Commission hearings. Viewers are invited to write to County Commission Broadcast, KPTS, 320 West 21st Street, Wichita, Kansas 67203.
Good morning. I'm Jill Tinsley. Welcome to the December 16th Sedgwick County Commission meeting. At this time, we like to tell you about some events going on around the county. The fun and festivities continue at Interest Bank Arena with Kansas State basketball this Saturday. And then Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to the arena on December 22nd for 2 shows. You can find ticket information at interestbankarena.com. Also, our annual Christmas tree recycling program begins December 22nd and runs through January 24th. You can drop your Christmas tree off at one of 22 locations throughout the county and receive a free bag of mulch while you're there. You can find out more about that program at sedgwickcounty.org. Good morning, Commissioners. Merry Christmas.
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
Can you believe this is our last meeting of 2015? There's no meeting the following 2 weeks, so we have some very important business on our agenda to wrap up the year. An update from Exploration Place President Jan Luth, the purchase of critical care vehicle for EMSS, a resolution pertaining to the impoundment and towing of vehicles, and then also you have a number of items on Board of Bids and Contracts. So Chairman Ransall, I'll go ahead and let you begin the meeting.
Thank you very much. With that, I'll call to order the regular meeting of Board of Sedgwick County Commissioners for December 16, 2015. Madam Clerk, first item.
Invocation to be observed by a moment of silence. Please remain standing for the flag salute.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, please.
Roll call. Commissioner Unruh.
Present.
Commissioner Norton.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Present.
Chairman Ransall.
Present. Next item, please.
Public agenda.
Don't believe we have anyone signed up, do we, Mr. Manager?
No.
Okay, next item.
New business. Item A, Exploration Place update to Board of County Commissioners.
Good morning, Commissioners, and happy holidays. My name is Jan Luth. I'm president of Exploration Place, and here today with me is Jason Cox, the chair of our board. And as has become our pattern, I usually come in December and give an update on how our year is and a little bit of a window of what's coming in 2016. And I'm hoping this morning, besides some information that I share with you, what I'm really hoping you walk away with is all the energy and all the excitement of what's going on at Exploration Place. So we all know I can be a little animated and get a little excited, so I'm hoping it gets contagious. First of all, well, I'm going to move this. First of all, let's talk about education. That's really at the root of what Exploration Place is all about. We are here to educate really the next group of workers in our community. We are all about workforce development. It is at the core of everything that we do. And I'm very proud that in the last couple of years we've really emerged as a STEM education leader for our community. We're a real go-to place. Lots of organizations and individuals have been coming to us, and we've been doing a tremendous amount of educational programming. In last fiscal year, we served almost 60,000 students in programming, both on-site and off-site. I mean, that's a gigantic impact and reach that we're having. But we're also serving folks that are not in organized programs, but children that are being educated by their parents. I'm very proud this is our third year with a homeschool program that has continued to grow through the years. We have groups that are coming every single month as part of our education programs, and we have an annual event every year in February. A lot of our programming is done with community partners, and I want to talk about that for a minute. There are many youth-serving organizations in our region, from the Boys and Girls Clubs to the YMCAs, communities in schools, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. We serve them with all sorts of programming that we do together, sometimes at their locations and sometimes at Exploration Place. But in addition to that, as many of you have heard me tell over the years, we have for the last 4 years been doing a science club, an after-school club at a private school here in Wichita. And beginning in January, that will be expanded to 3 other private schools in our community. So that's a whole new program area that is really taking off. This is our third academic year of doing educational programming for Sumner County. This is funded through the Kansas All-Star Scholars Fund, which is an arm of the casino. We are going to every 3rd and 4th grade class in the public schools in Sumner County every week throughout the academic year, teaching science and other STEM-related classes. This is a program that has been professionally evaluated. We have fantastic results that are publishable, and we're working on some articles now and hope to be able to submit them in 2016 for publication. That's very exciting. Family Nights is more of a lighthearted program that we do as compared with the one I was just describing. We launched these about 18 months ago. We've done about 30 to 40 every year. As you know, one of the keys to success for children is parent involvement. And many schools and organizations do programs specifically to bring the families together. And they have latched onto our Family Nights. The buzz is out there. The word is getting out. We started with math, as I said, and now we do science. We also do STEM, and probably next year we'll be adding another topic. They're very popular. Special events is an initiative that we took on in the last year or two, and we're really going at it full board now. You know, we needed to really kind of diversify our programming portfolio, if you will, and special events is an area we needed to do. So I'm going to just kind of run through a few of them, but I want to kind of do an overall explanation. You know, we are a thin team, and we do fantastic with our thin team, but sometimes our ideas are really ambitious, and we can't do them alone. Just about every one of our special events has a community partner which enables us to be successful. We couldn't do it without those community partners. So I'm going to start here with Sharing Cultures. This is a brand new event that we launched in September that we'll be continuing to do. It was an event that is in conjunction with Hispanic Heritage Month, and we have a Hispanic task force at Exploration Place. It's been around for 4.5 years to help us diversify our audience and diversify our reach, since our demographics are so diverse in this region. And so this year we launched a special event to celebrate this. We're very excited about it and look to see that grow in the years to come. Our model for these special events really came from our partnership with the Assistance League. Gingerbread Village, we just had it in November. It was our third year doing it with the Assistance League. They've been doing it for over 20 years in the Wichita area. We had 3,500 people that weekend. We expanded to Friday night, which was successful, and we intend to continue doing it on Friday nights going forward. A great, great community event. We wanted to create an event last year that would enable us to reach young families in a safe Halloween atmosphere that wasn't about trick-or-treating. So we came up with this idea, Spooky Science. So we experimented with it in 2014. We expanded it in 2015, and again, only because we had a partner. This time we worked with Cali Community College Early Childhood Program, their students and alum, and next year Butler Community College's Early Childhood Program, their students and alum are joining with us, and they are actually the program presenters at this Spooky Science event. Our staff creates the 20 to 25 activities that are scattered throughout the building that the families get to enjoy, and they provide the people to be able to deliver those programs. I'm going to put these two up together. Museum of the Undead is our zombie event. We just had our third year at that. And Fears and Beers we did in August. But in general, I just want to explain that together what these events really represent is our efforts to also be able to start to appeal to the young adult audience. What we've learned is there's a lot of young adults in our community who are not, they're not families yet. They're the young adults. They still want to play at Exploration Place and enjoy the facility, but they don't want to come during the day with the families. They want to come in the evening and kind of have this party atmosphere. So we started these special events. This year we really got rocking and rolling with it, and we have a lot planned for next year. As you'll see, we have a special exhibit that's about music, and we have a series starting in 2016 called Science of Sound. And so that we'll be doing a lot of evening events and, for the audience in that way. And speaking of adults, this past July, we boldly stepped forward and said, we've just got to do a maker fair. There are maker fairs across the United States. It's a big movement. They're actually across the world. Many, many science centers are involved in them in their communities. They are fantastic for entrepreneurship and innovation, and we just wanted to get on board with that. So we partnered with Make ICT. We did it in July. It was a one-day event. We had 50 makers. 1,800 people came. It was one of the largest first-year maker fairs in the country. And we are already lined up to do it next July. It'll be a 2-day event. It's already going to be expanded. It was such a success. This was the lineup this past year of our traveling exhibits. Wildlife Rescue was a real environmental focus, and we partnered with many different organizations that were involved in environmental education. Goosebumps, the Science of Fear. We had some fantastic events associated with that called a Fear Buster Challenge course, and many organizations in town came out to help us with that. And right now we have Design Zone, so it's up through the holiday season. Terrific interactive exhibit that is at the intersection of math and art. And as you can see, we try to have a big diversity. Here's what's coming in 2016. If I want you to think that we're rocking, we really are going to be rocking in 2016. Guitar, the instrument that rocked the world, opens at the end of January. To say we're excited about that is an understatement. We're working on a massive community-wide initiative with all kinds of organizations and businesses that are partnering with us for 4 strong months of programming all across the Wichita community. We'll also have Blue Man Group making waves. In the summer, it's dinosaur time again with Dinosaurs in Motion. And in the fall, we're going to have a collection of health exhibits that'll be in our traveling exhibit hall, which we think is going to lend itself very well to some fun themes in the fall with Halloween. So a nice array is coming in 2016. These are some of the new features in 2015, and Creator Space is the first one. And I know it opened in the end of December in 2014, but I still wanted to put it up here for this past year because it, was just open for a couple weeks in 2014. This is our maker space. As you know, in our community, there's a community maker space with Make ICT. The university is developing a huge makerspace on their innovation campus that's really going to be focused on invention and product development. And this is the first step in that pipeline. This is for families and children, an opportunity for them to come and tinker and make. It's open all the hours that we are. We also are doing some special programs in there. We have had some spaces at Exploration Place in the lower level near the dome that had a different purpose when we opened, and they were, really available for us to expand into. So we did a small construction project last year that opened in April, and from that construction project we created 2 new classrooms and an education supply storage area. And as I mentioned earlier about the growth of our education programs, now we have 2 proper classrooms to be able to do all those programs in. This past summer, we moved our Kiva exhibit, the very popular exhibit that we have with construction, with the Kiva planks, has a new location and a new gallery. And then we took another space that had been used for many different things since we opened. We gave it a very small facelift in October, and at the end of the month we opened it up, and it is now a preschool classroom. We are expanding with our preschool programs, and I'll explain why. And it's right here. It's Kansas Kids Connect, our brand new permanent exhibit. And I'm just going to put these pictures up because they're really yummy. That's a scientific word, of course. So these images are fantastic. They show you what is going on in this new 2,000 square foot gallery. This is a space that was designed specifically for children 5 and under. And, I could go on and explain about why you start with preschoolers in a science center, but suffice it to say that if you want more people to choose careers in the sciences when they go to college, the studies are very clear you have to start in preschool. Its studies are just so clear. And so it was very important that Exploration Place create a brand new preschool gallery. Many of you remember we had one in the very beginning, and it was removed when we had the Star Wars exhibit in 2012. So when we were creating this, we happily engaged the services of a company that are experts in creating early childhood learning experiences in children's museums and science centers. So we were working with some really exemplary people to be able to create this exhibit. And we wanted it to be themed around agriculture because that's a very important industry in our state and a very important industry right here in Sedgwick County. So everything that's going on in these images are young children learning. They're learning through observing and experimenting and touching and just there's so many different things. You can see the little boy right here walking through the wheat field. Let's see if I can get the pointer going. It's a whole body experience, and his whole body is experiencing this. And if you come on a tour with me, I'll take you through the wheat field. It's the one thing we can all fit through. So if you haven't seen it, I would love to be able to take you and walk you through this gallery and come and see it in action. The joy of this gallery is that it has really brought back many families with young children. I always say the stroller brigade is back. We have lots of kids coming. 10 o'clock in the morning, the doors open and the strollers start marching in, and they're coming in to go to this gallery, and that's what it's all about. And this then becomes a feeder as the children grow and they move into some of our other galleries that are in the museum. We've also expanded our preschool programming in conjunction with the opening of this exhibit. We now have a weekly class called Kansas Kids Preschool Class, and this summer we're going to be trying for the first time some preschool summer camps. So what's coming this year? Well, we're in the midst of a small construction project right now as well. This is our Waterway Hall. Some of you might be familiar with it. And back here is where our cafe used to be that closed back in 2012. So that's been, pretty much dead, unutilized space. And this was a dining room that was associated with it. So what we've done is we have gutted this area. It's opening up and expanding. And we will be able to seat 300 people, which is fantastic for our growing facility rental business that we have, and also for a lot of these special events and programs that I've just shared with you. This expanded space is going to be awesome. This year, from the standpoint of exhibits, our big initiative is the Kansas Pavilion. It is just as it was 15 years ago, and it's time for a facelift. It's time for a rejuvenation. We fortunately have some funds to be able to do that. And so over the course of the next year, you're going to see some changes there. visual as well as a lot of new exhibit elements added into it to be able to make it a lot more interactive. And I'm really excited because the lower level of that gallery, where there's a cave that some of you might remember, we are creating an aquifer exhibit. And it's been very well received by a lot of the folks both in the state and regionally that are involved in water issues. And it's important as a science center to be addressing issues that affect our citizens, presenting information, helping to inform them so that they learn more and can make great choices. And so that's really the goal of that exhibit. And the aquifer exhibit will open at the end of August, and the rest of the gallery, it'll be sort of incremental through the year that we'll be adding things. And then we've got Waterway Terrace. If you go back here to the Waterway Hall, this door here is this door down here on our terrace. The terrace is there, and it just needs a few accoutrements to really be able to connect it better to the Waterway Hall. It's something that's been talked about, as I learned, since the place opened, and it just hadn't gotten done. And we're hoping we can do these few things in the latter half of 2016. It'll really help be a great space for some of those events I was talking about, as well as for facility rentals. And this is what's going on with our new exhibits that we're planning for the future. You know, we always have to work many years in advance. We just hot off the press, completed the rendering and the conceptual plans for our new health gallery that will go in the Grand Hall. As you all know, we currently have Big Mouth that we received through funding, you know, from Delta Dental of Kansas. And we had received some funding that enabled us to do this planning phase. And this will be able to incrementally come online. Every year we hope to be able to add a new component. So the eye is next. It'll come on either at the end of 2016 or early 2017. We have some of the funding in place right now. We need to seek the rest of it. And the focus of that health exhibit is about what you as an individual can do to help improve your own health. What are the choices that you make? So it's not about the biology of the body, but it's really what the industry calls health literacy, how you're taking care of yourself. And then, of course, Design, Build, Fly, our ambitious project that we've been talking about for quite a few years. We are going to be opening it in late fall of 2017. This is a rendering of it. We've had some nice developments happening. I want to show you some cool images here. These are all different plane parts that have been donated to us from some of the local companies. They are currently housed in the hangar at NCAT, National Center for Aviation Training, and it's part of the curriculum with the students that they're going to be doing some of the work that needs to be done on those plane parts to be able to create some of the elements for the exhibit. So it's a pretty special partnership that we've got going on there. And this is just some close-ups of some of the images that were in the rendering that you saw, you know, a deconstructed business jet that's the centerpiece, and a theater that's made out of a slice of a fuselage, and then some interactives. So we just celebrated 15 years. We're coming to the close of a 15-year anniversary where we've been boosting brains and igniting imagination. We've got an exciting future as we're embarking on the second half of our second decade. And I want to thank you for all of the support from Sedgwick County, because that is really what enables us to make the progress that we're making. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, are there any questions? Commissioner Peter John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sounds like a lot's going on. Would you take a minute and visit with us with any information you've got on how the attendance, you mentioned 60,000, I think it was school kids. I was particularly interested in a program in terms of kids who outside the facility, and that 60,000 was kids coming to Exploration Place or kids who were involved in a outreach type
It's
of
both.
thing, and they aren't, how that might split out.
You know, I have that data back at the office, and I'd be happy to provide it. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Oh, please.
But it isn't just school kids. It's any kind of youth programming. So a lot of the things with our youth-serving organizations as well, and our summer camps, it's the whole range. But I do have all that data back at the office. I'd be happy to provide it.
Please, an email would be
Sure.
preferable.
Sure.
Just a quick question. How are we doing on attendance this year versus last year through the middle of December?
I don't have an answer. I should have an answer tomorrow. Quite frankly, we had to get a new ticketing system. The other ticketing system that we had since 2000 went out of business, and we got a brand-new ticketing system, and we're still learning the nuances of it, and we've been cautious about sharing the numbers until we understood everything with the system. And I just asked about it yesterday, and I should have rough numbers tomorrow. I don't have them today. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you mentioned rental space available that Exploration Place is doing. That's news to me. It may be news to folks who are watching this. If folks are interested, how do they, what's available, and who do they contact, and how would they proceed if they were interested? I'm going to give you a free plug there.
I was just going to say,
what you can, Jan.
Thank you for the commercial. Yes, we have a fantastic facility rental business going on at Exploration Place. Our Grand Hall is available, our Waterway Hall and our boardroom are available. We hold about 40 weddings a year at Exploration Place, both ceremonies and receptions. Many business meetings are held there. Our Kemper Theater has been used for business meetings, so there's tremendous opportunities. Everything is on our website, www.exploration.org.
Thank you.
Commissioner Unruh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Jan, I want to thank you for the report. It sounds like a lot is happening, and you've got a lot of creative people who are helping you
That's
make
right.
Exploration Place successful. So compliments to you and to your board for a great job. Sounds like a successful year, and I like your little slogan there, boosting brains and igniting imagination. That's what we're supposed to be doing at that facility, and so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the report.
Thanks.
Commissioners, what's the will of the board?
I move we receive and file the report.
Second.
Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Aye.
Chairman Ransall.
Aye. Thank you, Jan, very much.
Thank you so much.
Next item, please.
Item B, purchase of a critical care vehicle for EMSS.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner. I am Dr. John Gallagher. I'm the EMS System Medical Director. And Agenda Item B before you is a request to add a vehicle to the fleet to support the EMSS Office of the Medical Director Critical Care Program. We've identified a vehicle need and availability from the County Fire Department and are requesting the permission to add that to the fleet so that it can be moved into our department and support the critical care program. Funding for this has already been secured through the EMSS contingency fund for both the cost of the vehicle itself as well as the overhead costs for 2016. The way I understand it, the process requires your approval because of the ongoing vehicle costs associated with having a fleet addition, which would be handled through the traditional fleet processes beginning in 2017. So, believe it or not, that actually completes the request for the vehicle. However, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like the permission to discuss the larger process of the critical care program and highlight some of the benefits to the community.
Sure.
Fantastic. Thank you. So when I began my work here in August, one of the first things I was tasked with was assessing the system from a medical standpoint. And I'm very excited to report that we identified some spectacular medical care being delivered in the EMS system throughout the county. However, we did identify some areas for improvement. And one of those was in an area of critical care. In working with Director Hadley from Sedgwick County EMS, we identified that the system performs over 200 critical care interfacility transports every year. These are our sickest and most injured patients that have been assessed at our partner facilities throughout the county and have been found to be too sick or injured to stay at the facility that they are at and need to be transferred to our large centers, predominantly the two big centers downtown. From a medical standpoint, the transfers are one of the most delicate and dangerous times for a patient when they're between these facilities and away from the physician care teams that they need. And in the current design of the system, our transport paramedics are oftentimes faced with very complex medical conditions which they may not be familiar with, requiring the use of complex medical technology and equipment on which they're not trained, or even the need of medications which they don't carry. So trying to improve this situation, earlier this fall my office began building and implementing a critical care program using the EMSS contingency funds and have already secured the majority of the equipment for this. However, we need the vehicle to put that equipment out into the field where the people are. Currently, it's only available on my own personal emergency response vehicle, and we have seen some benefit from that, including 2 days ago, I happened to be out in the field, and we encountered a very, very ill woman who ended up needing an airway intervention that would have been either impossible or exceptionally difficult. However, we had received the appropriate equipment, and I did have it on my vehicle, and we were able to utilize that and perform the procedure effectively, efficiently, and really without much difficulty. So it's already seeing benefit to the community, but for obvious reasons, I can't be available in the field at all times, and I certainly can't be available to every call. So as we get this vehicle in place and start training up the people, this equipment, personnel, and knowledge will become increasingly available to the community, and we should see nothing but better patient outcomes. So thank you for your support of the critical care program itself, including this request for the vehicle. I would love to talk about this more if you have questions.
Commissioners, Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Gallagher, I do have a couple of questions for you. This particular vehicle, is it determined whether we buy this or not for EMSS? Has it been determined that the Sedgwick County Fire Department, number 1 district, is going to surplus this vehicle regardless of this decision today?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where this vehicle will be stationed within the county? Where does it plan to be? Is it going to have a home where it stays most of the time?
The critical care program currently is housed out of my office on North Woodlawn. As we design the staffing protocols, which will be work between myself and Director Hadley, that could change, but the current process right now is to house it at my office.
Well, thank you for that. It sounds like the use of this vehicle is if there's a call where it looks like this might be necessary equipment out there in the field, that this will take off and meet up at the site where the probably another ambulance would already be there. This would be supplemental to that?
Exactly correct. So this supplements the service of the existing EMS system. Basically takes our already good care and makes it exceptional.
Good. I sure do like our EMS services. I think we do a really good job, and I'd like to talk about that sometime when I have a good opportunity. But nevertheless, I am very impressed with what they do. To give them some good compliments, because I think they are very, very good. But I guess I'm interested in how will you know when this vehicle is needed at those calls? I mean, those are very. There'll be a lot of calls I would assume that they would not be needed, so you're not going to go to every call with this. So how will you know?
Correct. So they absolutely won't be needed at every call. From an interfacility transport, it's a little easier. These are patients who've already been assessed by predominantly physician care teams, and when they're calling for transport from one facility to another, we have the ability to identify what their needs are at that time. There's a similar process for 911 calls. When the normally dispatched ambulance crew arrives and performs a patient assessment, they can usually within the first moments determine sort of what they're in for and would be able to activate that response at that time. So two separate but very similar processes for identifying them. Okay, good. $30,000 is a very round number. How was that determined? Can you talk about how do we know that's the right value for this? The value was determined by fleet. When fire made the vehicle available to them, the plan was to have that go to auction. We stepped in and said that we could potentially prevent some of that lost cost by utilizing the vehicle just in another department of the county, and asked fleet to come up with what they thought was appropriate value of the vehicle, and agreed to it without challenge. So I'm going to make the assumption that it's probably more than what we would get at auction, so it's good for them. Correct. And it's also probably good for us, because we probably couldn't buy a vehicle like this one for that Exactly
cost,
correct.
so.
The advantage of this is that it's already an emergency vehicle. It already has lights and siren. It has a radio package. It's essentially ready to go.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you. That's all my questions, Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Peter John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Howell asked one of the questions I wanted to throw out, but let me understand. Is this a vehicle that would be primarily used certain days or times of the week? Or is this a 24/7, 168-hour-a-week usage type vehicle?
My hope would be eventually this would be available 24 hours a day. However, as you know, staffing is one of our greatest challenges, and until I can secure staffing at 24/7, I won't be able to make that service available. We will obviously start it at whatever level we can and then increase it as often as we can until it's available around the clock.
Okay, because I am planning to be supportive of this effort, and I love the idea of being able to get full utilization, regardless of whether it's the fire district or EMS in terms of this equipment. Do you know if any of the surrounding EMS providers in our region have anything like this, or would we be the first in the region, or not?
Sedgwick County would be leading the way in this effort.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Norton?
Well, many years ago when we embarked on some changes under the EMSS system and we brought a medical director on board, the whole idea was to continually look at constant improvement of the system. We had great protocols. We had very dedicated public servants driving the ambulances and taking care of patients. But we knew that as medical procedures and technology and the things that we wanted to provide for the community changed, we needed to change with it, and to accept the idea that we could continuously improve patient care and the system to deliver that. And that was one of the reasons we brought a medical director on, to look at those protocols, look at what could be done to take it to the next level. And it looks like we've taken that, analyzed it, looked at, torn it apart, and put it back together, and come up with additional protocols that also require some equipment and some retraining to take it to that next level. And I'm excited about that, because if you talk about patient-centered care, this takes it to a new level for those patients that are maybe the worst case scenarios. And if you think back to the days when you had just transportation by many ambulance services, you may never ever have got to the place where you had this kind of transport between two different entities. And I'm excited that you embarked on this. I know that the folks in the field will administer this at the highest level. Many times it's about training and discipline and protocols, and that we've been very good at that for a lot of years. But now this just adds to the system. So the system's working.
Absolutely, and I completely agree. This is a very exciting time to be in EMS. Over the last couple years, we have really stepped out of the field of transportation and into the field of healthcare. And as we do so, we're becoming more evidence-based, more scientific, higher level of care and service, and better outcomes. So I'm really excited to be in this field at this time. So thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve adding a vehicle to the fleet inventory for EMS as critical care transport.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Aye.
Chairman Ransall.
Aye. Thank you, Dr. Gallagher, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Item C, a resolution pertaining to the impoundment and towing of vehicles and adding Article 6 to Chapter 26 of the Sedgwick County Code.
Good morning, Commissioners. Colonel Richard Powell with the Sheriff's Office. Before you this morning, we have brought a request of a resolution being added to Article 6, Chapter 26 of the Sedgwick County Code. This resolution deals with the Sheriff's Office and, of course, the county, and our need to have a formal process for addressing issues dealing with tow companies, wrecker services, and how the Sheriff's Office responds to concerns regarding the safety aspects of maintaining open roadways, while at the same time addressing the needs of our motoring public in the towing of their vehicles, whether they be involved in an accident or a mere vehicle breakdown on the side of the roadway, or an impoundment as taking a vehicle as an evidentiary item, addressing the needs of the motoring public while at the same time also taking into consideration the needs of the privately held and owned tow service companies throughout the Wichita-Sedgwick County area. In the past, we have operated under the same typical or in place terms and conditions of service contracts that the City of Wichita and the Wichita Police Department have put into play over many, many years. The Sheriff's Office has never had its own process. We simply rode on the coattails, if I might use that term, of what was in place with the Police Department across the street at that time. In 2012, the City of Wichita and the Police Department there created a new ordinance changing the way in which they handle these service contracts and also fee schedules, a lot of other miscellaneous things. At that time, when they made this change in 2012, it became evident to the Sheriff's Office that the direction they were heading simply didn't, at that point, no longer suited our specific needs within the Sheriff's Office. They have a much higher volume of interaction with record services. They have a much higher volume of interaction with the motoring public within the corporate city limits of Wichita, and just do everything on a much grander scale. And in some respects, because of their individual policies within the Wichita Police Department, handle things in uniquely different manners, which simply were no longer, in our own opinion, applicable to the needs that we have. In reviewing that implementation of their new procedures and policies in 2012, Sheriff Easter directed our Special Projects Unit to research the towing concerns that we have, and let's look at creating our own standards and a resolution within the county that would better fit the needs of the Sheriff's Office and, of course, all of our constituents, the motoring public. In doing that, we spent well over 2 years looking at historical information within the Sheriff's Office. We looked at best practices through other agencies. We engaged in meaningful conversations with many, many different stakeholders, including the record service companies themselves. And in the end, we arrived at, we thought, which would be a practical solution by means of the resolution which we have presented to you today for your consideration and hopeful subsequent approval. We have taken the opportunity to brief each of you with the content of this resolution. We think we've done our diligence in trying to address any concerns that were questions that were presented to us. At this time, we would again request your review of the resolution as presented. Of course, in accordance with county policy, this has been vetted through the county counselor's office, and they've approved the documentation. In the current form as it is now, as a simple resolution, it only requires a majority vote of the commission. Again, I would ask for your review and subsequent approval. If you have any questions, we will gladly stand for those. While we're here this morning, I brought with me Captain David Mattingly, who is our commander of our Support Services Division, who oversees our Special Projects Unit and is considered within our organization to be the subject matter expert on all of the content that we're talking about today, because he's the one who's been intimately involved in this for well over 2 years. Thank you.
Commissioners, what's the will of the board? Commissioner Peter John?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to, for the record, suggest this is a significant issue, and I'd be interested if anyone in the public would have any interest in speaking on this issue.
Thank you for reminding me. Would anyone from the public like to speak on this issue? I guess we've done a good job addressing everything. So
Thank you, sir.
Nobody wants Commissioner Norton?
Well, I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution and authorize the chair to sign. And if I can get a second, then I have some comments.
Well, I'll give you a second.
Okay. I know as I was briefed that there was some talking points, some places that maybe there were some tweaks to be done. The one thing we have to realize about this is that it will be a fluid document. We'll be reviewing it as it starts to unfold, and we find those little nuances out in the public where it doesn't work for the citizens or it doesn't work for the Sheriff's Department. So I'm very confident that the hard work that's been put into this will get us a great document to start with, knowing, and I talked to Captain Mattingly about this, that 6 months from now we may review it and go, oh, here's a place where we thought we got it right and we need to tweak it. So I'm ready to move forward today. I thank the Sheriff's Department and Captain Mattingly for the hard work, because there was a lot of moving parts to this, dealing with the industry folks, thinking about the citizens, and trying to make sure it worked for the Sheriff's Department and their patrol. So,
Yes, sir.
I'm ready to move forward.
Commissioner Peter John?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also appreciate the hard work. I know the Sheriff's Office, Captain Mattingly, and the other folks within the office who've worked on this, and trying to have having a product that will work for the public as well as obviously the people who are doing the towing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the real proof will be when we get into a weather situation, in all likelihood, where massive, unusual amounts of towing is needed because of, usually around here, it's weather conditions. But whatever the need may be, so I do view this as a document that we may come back and look at in the future, but I think it's an excellent starting point. Mr. Chairman, I do plan to be supportive today. Thank you.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of points I'd like to highlight, I guess, in this document that I think are important for the public to know, and that is, if they don't take care of the vehicle once it's impounded, eventually it will be auctioned off, and so it's important that people who own vehicles that are towed pay attention to that. But the tow companies need to get their costs back somehow, so that's the way the system works. But we want to make sure we protect the public in the process, and so a couple of things that are in this. For example, item on page 19, item I and on item O, it allows the public to access their vehicle and retrieve some personal belongings out of the vehicle for 48 hours. And I believe that's really important, so that people who might have medicines or documents or who knows what, car seats, all kinds of things that might be in the vehicle that are important for them to carry on with life. If they don't have the ability to get the vehicle out of the impoundment right then, at least they can access the things that makes life important to them to live their life. And so that's a really important part of this. Another thing I think is important is the fact is we are, by doing this on item R, which is down at the bottom of page 19, it does allow for small businesses, I think, to get into this industry a little bit. And I think that the requirements are still the same. They've got to have a storage facility. It's got to be open a certain number of hours each day, 24-hour operation, all kinds of things that are there that are required for these businesses to do this. But it does require it does not require a huge amount of equipment for someone to get involved in the towing business. So again, this is something that might allow for a little bit more competition, a little bit more free market, and potentially a better pricing for the customers that might need towing. So I think overall this is a really positive document. It's a lot of details in here. And I do agree with Commissioner Norton that if this is, or it was Commissioner Norton that said this, if we need to change this down the road, we certainly have the option of doing that. So it's a good place to start. I think this also, can you confirm this, Colonel Powell, does this also align more with the City of Wichita?
Actually, I think it takes a uniquely different direction just because of, again, our needs as the Sheriff's Office and the volume or lack of volume that we have as compared to theirs, and in the process in dealing with the more on the back end, the disposal of the vehicles, and of course, as you mentioned, access to the vehicles for the consuming public. It is uniquely different, which was the catalyst for creating this resolution.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you. That's all my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Colonel Powell, Captain Mattingly, thank you for all your efforts on this, and I'll be supportive as well.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Aye.
Chairman Ranzau.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item D, report of the Board of Bids and Contracts regular meeting on December 10th, 2015.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Joe Thomas, Purchasing Director. The meeting of the Board of Bids and Contracts of December 10th results in 4 items that we're presenting to you this morning. Item number 1 is the Community Service Capacity Development for Sedgwick County Developmental Disability Organization. The recommendation is to approve funding to Cerebral Palsy Research Foundation of Kansas Incorporated in the amount of $131,323, and to Catholic Charities Incorporated in the amount of $71,211. Item number 2 is the on-call door services for various county departments. Recommendation is to accept the proposals from DH Pace Company Incorporated, Badger Door Company, LLC, and Resource Door and Hardware, LLC, and to establish the contract pricing at the rates indicated for a contract term of 2 years with 2 one-year options to renew. Item number 3 is patient simulators for emergency medical services system, and this recommendation is to accept the best proposal from Gamard Scientific Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $117,079.61. And item number 4, steel culverts for Public Works. Recommendation is to accept the bid from J&J Drainage Products Company in the amount of $72,539.16 as initial purchase, and establish contract pricing for 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and I recommend approval of these 4 items.
Commissioners, what's the will of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the recommendation of the Board of Bids and Contracts.
Second.
Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Aye.
Chairman Ransah.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Joe. Next item, please.
Consent agenda.
Mike Scholes, County Manager. Mr. Chairman, I recommend you approve consent agenda items Echo through Tango.
So moved.
We have motion second. Before we vote, I'd like to have a question on item R. If there's someone from the clerk's office who could, we're changing the position from part-time to full-time.
Yes,
Can you kind of give us the basis for that?
yes. I'm Tanya Buckingham, I'm Chief Deputy Register Deeds for Bill Meek. And the reason why we're asking is there has been an increase in our rejection rate for our documents. It's doubled since last year. And this is mostly due to the change that happened with the bill for the legislation last year, where the recording fee was increased and the mortgage tax is going to be decreased each year. And it's eventually going to be phased out in 2019. And because of that, it doubled our rejection rate 50%. So.
And if we were ever able to get back down to the original rejection rate, would there be the potential to reduce this back down to
Yes.
part-time or
Yes.
the same amount what it was before?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Peterjohn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another question. We've got a change coming again in those procedures as of January 1, and that may impact that rejection rate. Could you speak about that provide at least an update and maybe a shout out to the folks who, if they're presenting documents to your office, to be prepared in terms of how things are going to change beginning the first of next year?
Well, we've done a lot of communicating. We've met with the banks, the local banks. We've talked to the title companies. Every document that goes out that's returned to the customer, we send out a notice saying that the fee is changing. So we're doing the best that we can to get the information out, because it will change each year. In 2016, it's going to change again. So it'll happen for the next 5 years.
Let me ask you, is the rejection rate, is there anything you can give in terms of additional information? Is it because of, people who infrequently file documents and they don't know, or is it, there are people who are outside the area or outside Kansas and they're not as familiar with Kansas law? Is there any insight that you can provide on where these rejections are coming from?
I think it's a little of both. I think it's locally too. We've had this fee for years. It's been the same fee, and so a document was for like a one-page deed was $8, and now it's $12. So each year it's going to go up $4. So it's just that people were so used to the same fee for so many years, and now there's a change, whether it's locally or out of state or I don't know that. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no other questions. Commissioner Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to reflect on a different item in the consent agenda, so
Okay.
this is probably for our HR representative. Excuse me. On items O and P, I guess I don't know anything really about item O, replace underperforming 457 plan, but I did get a small briefing on the the Roth option for a rollover and transfer election, which is a new option for us. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
I can try to.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm the subject matter expert on the Roth. Richard, do you think you'd be more helpful, or Chris? Chris? It's an opportunity that we have that allows people, this is a after-tax retirement fund, and it allows those people to bring that into their 457 plan before, if I have that right, before it prevented people from being able to have that option, and now we're allowing them to have that option.
My question would be, if someone's been an employee here for a long time and has been participating in 457 for a long time and they have a big balance, can they transfer just a small amount each year to
I don't know.
Reduce their tax liability? Do you know? You don't know that?
We don't know that.
Well, it'd be an interesting question to ask, I guess, for later. I'm certainly supportive of this option, and I think this is a great option for people that...
I'll get an answer to you on that.
Okay. I think this is a great option. So for folks who don't know, the Roth option, I guess, would just say that I'll pay those taxes up front. My income's a little bit low right now. I expect I'll make more money later down. My salary might increase down the road. Just go ahead and pay the taxes when my tax liability is low, and then down the road when they receive their benefits at retirement, then the tax liability has already been paid on those funds. And so it's a great option for some folks, and they need to obviously have a financial consultant to direct them probably, but it's a great option in our toolbox of trying to help our employees, I guess, have as many options as possible for the future planning. So I'm glad to see this on the consent agenda. I'd like to get the answer to that one question later on. Certainly supportive right now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your support.
Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Aye.
Chairman Ransah.
Aye. Next item, please.
Public agenda.
Once again, we don't have anything for public agenda or legislative issues at this time, so we'll move to the other portion of our meeting. Commissioners, do you have anything for the other portion? Commissioner Peterjohn?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that December 16th is an important day in American history. And on that date in 1773, several dozen colonists wearing old clothing and blackened their faces went through the streets of Boston and began hoisting tea because the British had basically imposed a monopoly and a tea tax on us, and the Boston Tea Party occurred on this date in 1773. An event that a lot of people don't know about occurred on this date in December 16th, 1811, but it's important, I think, for us going forward. There were a series of earthquakes in New Madrid, Missouri, started. First one occurred today. These earthquakes were so massive. It was reported at the time, and this was a very sparsely settled area in 1811. The Mississippi River actually started flowing north for several days. And they're arguably the most significant, largest, in terms of on a Richter scale basis, earthquakes that have occurred in the United States. December 16th, 1944 was a major day in American history during World War II when the Germans launched their surprise attack, and it was their last offensive in Belgium with the Battle of the Bulge, which fortunately turned into a massive defeat for them, but the issue was in doubt for several weeks. And on a much lighter note, on December 16th, 1972, the Miami Dolphins became the first NFL team to go unbeaten and win Super Bowl VII. So December 16th was an important day in American history, and wanted to get that on the record, Mr. Chairman. And since this is the last holiday meeting for the year, I want to wish everyone out there holiday greetings, because by the next time we meet, it will be 2016. So I'm going to wish everyone a Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.
Commissioner Norton?
I'll just dovetail onto that. It is our last meeting before Christmas and the holidays set in. I wish everyone out there Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, however you celebrate. And I would hope that everybody would have peace in life, uncontrollable laughter, and love in your heart at this holiday season.
Commissioner Unruh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I'll just join in and also wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holiday season. and hope everyone is safe and has a wonderful time during this season. But I wanted to have the opportunity to just give a shout out to our folks at ComCare, Marilyn Cook and Jason Scheck, for a Community Crisis Summit that was held yesterday. We had all the folks who collaborate with us in trying to provide services and appropriately deal with those individuals who are nonviolent offenders in our community but have mental health and substance abuse issues, and we need to deal with them in such a way that they can be helped and that we can keep our costs of keeping our community safe, keep those costs to a minimum. And a man named Leon Evans from Bexar County, which is San Antonio, was here and gave quite a presentation about their restoration center that they have in San Antonio that has really done a great job in saving the community money, but also providing appropriate services for those folks. And it's reduced their homeless population, reduced their jail population, and helped reduce the cost to law enforcement. So it's a model that we've already begun to implement and to follow here in Sedgwick County, and I think it's we've got more work to do. We need to finish our Community Crisis Center and then continue to expand and strengthen that asset that we have in our community. But just wanted to let the folks know that we're at work on that, and let folks know how proud I am of our ComCare folks for doing a really great job. So.
Commissioner Norton?
Well, I thought I'd said my last word, but I do want to dovetail in with what Commissioner Unruh said. It was gratifying that we had 4 commissioners yesterday at the symposium to understand the mental health continuum in our community and how a crisis center can affect that. I think we've got before us one of those huge challenges that we've taken on before. I mean, we've worked on homelessness, and out of that came some new transitional housing thought processes, the Open Door Center, many other continuums that have affected homelessness. We took on child abuse, and we're getting ready to open a child advocacy center. And mental illness is another one of those maladies in our community that I think we have an imperative to look at, try to understand, and all the evidence points towards crisis centers, one-stop shops, a place where we can house so many of the folks that deal with all the multiple ways that mental health affects our community. And we know if we don't take care of it, there's some ramifications. If you talk to the sheriff, he'll tell you that they deal with a lot of folks that have some kind of mental health issue, and we've tried to work that side of it with the criminal justice system to keep people out of jail, to get them into programs, to assess them before they ever get booked or housed. But I think the crisis center is going to be one of the next things that this next year we're going to have to look at very deeply and make sure that we have a commitment, not only intellectually but financially, to make sure that it really works for our community. Just to dovetail in with what Commissioner Unruh said. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. Commissioner Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. I also was at the symposium yesterday. Apologize for my throat being scratchy this morning. I was at the symposium yesterday as well, and one thing I just wanted to say is they've had 15 years to build their system. And if I understand correctly, we've gone on this track right now for about 5 years. And I would say, just listening to him talk about the resources that he has available that are working well for their community, we have about 90% of that in place. And I was really impressed that we have such a robust system for such a short time. I think even he was impressed with where we're at right now. But having said that, there are some things that he discussed that I think were ideas that we can certainly explore, that are improvements that we could potentially add to our system. So we're not satisfied with where we're at. And second of all, I think we are always looking for ways to improve in both the services and potentially the effectiveness. And one thing that they did have that we're short on right now, they have a very robust financing plan for their system. It's much more complex and provides more services than we are able to provide right now with our financing. So we have some opportunities, I think, to talk to our community partners and see if we can develop other ways of improving those services. It's not just Sedgwick County. We have other partners in this community that really ought to be partners with us, trying to provide better services. And so I walked away with a lot of notes, and I look forward to having discussions in the future regarding what he said. But I will just say, wrapping up, I'm pleased to be on this commission board. It's been a tremendous year. I almost can't believe that the year is already over. I feel like I just started this the other day, and here we are at the end of the year. And it's exciting to think all the things we've touched and all the things we've gone through this last year, a lot of topics. And I think that the county overall has done a good job, and I look forward to the next couple of years in my current term. But having said that, the year's just flown by, and here we are ready for Christmas. I almost can't believe it. So I will also say with my colleagues, Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful time with your family, have a safe holiday season. Hopefully you have some time to spend with people. That's really why we're here, is to, I guess, to love people. So do the best you can and enjoy your holiday with others. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'll say a few things. First, this is our last meeting of the year, correct, Mr. Manager?
That's correct.
Unless something pops up that we have to get done before the end of the year, and if that happens, we'll have a special meeting and we'll announce that and do that. So with that, I want to say very Merry Christmas to everyone out there, and hope to have a safe holiday. I also want to talk a little bit. I know a couple of weeks ago, Commissioner Peter John made a presentation and basically asked people to be prepared. Unfortunately, it's called a racist and uninformed and a bunch of other things. But people need to be aware. We've had this attack in San Bernardino. We had the call into the school district in Los Angeles. A couple weeks ago, Congressman Pompeo spoke at a pachyderm club and said FBI is investigating terrorist plots in all 50 states, to include dozens within our area here in Wichita and Sedgwick County. I think Channel 10 was probably the only one that reported this. So there are ongoing investigations and threats. We are not immune to it. So, and the more I talk to people and research this, Commissioner Peter John is right. We need to be prepared. You need to be prepared as an individual. You need to be prepared as a family. If you're a business entity, you need to be prepared as well. Bad things happen to good people all the time. Sometimes we think it can't happen to us, but if we're not prepared, then it will make things worse. So, and there's a lot of things, a lot of issues. When I say be prepared, there's a lot of ways to approach that, and I won't go into all those details. But the point of the presentation is that there are active threats out there to include in this area, and we need to be prepared, because I believe it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we just can't. I know there's a lot of discussions at the federal level about terrorism and how to treat it and what sort of policy we should have at a national level, and that debate is all fine, but in the end, those actions occur here locally and have a direct effect on you, and the biggest thing you can do as an individual is have yourself prepared. Your business entity, your governmental entity, your home, whatever. So I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but I think we do a public a disservice if we don't let them know exactly what's going on, and that it is important to be prepared. So with that in mind, I don't believe we have anything else from the commissioners. We do have need for an executive session. Commissioner Peter John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session for 10 minutes to consider consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and that the Board of County Commissioners return to this room from executive session no sooner than 10:20 a.m. The executive session is required to protect the attorney-client privilege in the public interest, protect the county's right to the confidentiality of its negotiating position, and the public interest.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peter John.
Aye.
Chairman Ransah.
Aye. We'll now move to executive session. We're now back from executive session and no binding action was taken. However, we do have an issue to discuss. Our county counselor's office has something for us to discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael North, Assistant County Counselor here. This is the matter that we discussed in an executive session, and what I'm doing is I'm asking approval of a settlement of a claim that's been made against the county by a lady by the name of Elva Rotes. This involves a matter almost 2 years ago. It was a vehicle stop. Claimant was a passenger in the vehicle. The driver, it was found by the deputy that had stopped her, had no driver's license, and so he promptly arrested the driver and had her transferred to his patrol car. At that point, there was a dispute between the passenger of the car, which was Ms. Rotes, and the deputy over whether the truck needed, the vehicle that they were driving in, which was a truck, needed to be impounded. Ms. Rhodes, in the course of this disagreement with the deputy, threw a soft drink at the deputy while she was sitting in the vehicle. The deputy then tried to take her into custody, extricate her from the car, get her handcuffed and take her into custody. And through one circumstance or another, Ms. Rhodes went to the ground, and she was a 64-year-old woman. As some of us that have approached the age of 64 might go to the ground, she had a fractured hip as a result of this. There's a disagreement, strong disagreement between the parties about the nature of, or the reason why that she went to the ground. There's the allegation that it was through an intentional act of the deputy. We deny that. It may have been through some miscarriage, some negligence of the deputy, or it was simply an accident that was unavoidable. At any rate, Ms. Rhodes did have this broken hip. Our deputy promptly called emergency medical services to have her transported to the hospital, and she did. She received the medical care that apparently she needed at that time, but her medical bill, at least according to the claim that's been provided to us, is in excess of $70,000, for which we are likely responsible anyway, because whenever someone gets hurt in the course of our making an arrest of them, and we're the ones that seek to get medical care, we're responsible for the medical bill anyway. I'm recommending a settlement of this matter in the amount of $165,876.88. This is a result of negotiation between the parties in the case. And again, as I think I indicated earlier, this is just a claim at this point. There is no lawsuit, but we've been in negotiation with the claimant's attorney, and I think that's a figure that both parties believe that they can live with. So I'm asking for authorization to settle Ms. Rhodes' claim for $165,876.88, subject to the execution of the appropriate releases that we would usually want to seek in these kind of cases. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, what's the will of the board?
I move to take the recommended action.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Unruh.
Aye.
Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterjohn.
Aye.
Chairman Ransaw.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Manager, is there anything else to come before the commission?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing none, we are adjourned for 2015. Thanks, everybody.
See you next year.